For the fourth time in 5 years, Jackson State will host the SWAC Championship game in Jackson, Mississippi, with a chance to win their fourth SWAC title in said 5 years. Let's talk about it after their victory over Alcorn, their disputed, hated rival at home in Jackson, to host yet again another SWAC Championship and win another SWAC East title. Let's talk about it after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYjr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and notification bell because I upload all the time. Now, Jackson State wins their game against, excuse me, rival Alcorn to get their 9th win of the season, to finish the regular season 9-2, and to win yet again another SWAC East Championship, another SWAC East title, to send them to the SWAC Championship game where they will take on Prairie View. Let me go ahead and get you over to the box score. It was a 27-21 victory for JSU. Oh, excuse me. Not much scoring for the Tigers at all in the second half, and I think that was the key to allowing Alcorn back into this game. Alcorn hit a couple of big plays that allowed them to get back into this one. 44,000 people at the game. Awesome turnout. 27 points. Only 3 of those points coming in the second half in the late fourth quarter. A field goal and 2 Hail Mary attempts for Alcorn to potentially, tie and or extra point away from winning the game. But nonetheless, Jackson State did exactly what they needed to do to once again win another SWAC East title to launch them back into the SWAC championship game. Let's look over Jarrett Lockhart. You guys know I've been hard on Jarrett Lockhart in the past. I felt like the playbook gets too conservative with Jarrett Lockhart, and it kind of almost bit him again in this one. But 13-16, I can't be mad at a young man that finds a way to win the game. The turnover at the end, trying to knee the ball, fumbling, being this ultra conservative and not really putting any points on the board in the second half. Like those are things when you play PV, and I'll get into that video later this week. But when you play PV, some of the things that Lockhart just won't be able to, you won't escape with a win against PV. PV's too good to get away with some of the mistakes that Jackson State as a team made and the conservative play calling that they did in the second half of this game that won't work against PV. Now, hopefully you get Jacoby Morgan back for that championship game against PV. But if you don't, and you have to rock with Jarrett Lockhart, I still believe Lockhart can do something, and you get an extra week to prepare because the game is not until December 6th. So you don't have to play this weekend, but you play next weekend. And all of that is big for Jackson State, especially if you have to trot out there Jarrett Lockhart, or for the opportunity for Jacoby Morgan to get healthy over those 2 weeks for him to be able to play. But nonetheless, 13-16, extremely accurate. Conservative play calling, but extremely accurate. Had a touchdown pass. Also only took 2 sacks, which is big. When you're playing a young fella and he's mobile, a lot of times he thinks he can hold the ball longer than he should, or a lot of times he thinks he can out-athlete the guys on defense, and sometimes he can, sometimes he can't. But only taking 2 sacks lets me know that he didn't do too much of that. I saw that. I watched it. He didn't try to do too much. He took exactly what the defense gave him, and that is key for him to eliminate mistakes. 0 interceptions, only taking 2 sacks. Running game was being the JSU running game. You see Ahmad Miller went over 100 yards on the game, which put him over 1,000 yards for the season. Shout out to Ahmad Miller, a guy who split carries with 2 other backs, to still be impressive enough in games where you see Ahmad Miller doesn't get very many carries. I mean, this game he had 15 carries. There's very few games where he had 20 or more carries. He split time with Davenport, with Travis Terrell, and even when Lockhart and Jacoby Morgan played, they have carries as well, because we know 10 of these were runs by Lockhart. We know he took 2 sacks, so those are going to count as carries. But the other 10 were runs by him that kept drives alive, that made plays, that get you positive yards. And so for Ahmad Miller to get over 1,000 yards in a year where he split carries with 2 other running backs primarily and a quarterback, whether it was Jacoby Morgan or Jarrett Lockhart, that is massive. That is massive, massive, massive for Ahmad Miller. So congratulations to him for hitting over 1,000 yards rushing. Both Ahmad Miller's making a name. When he came in, he was just Aubrey Miller's brother. And now, a couple of years into his career at JSU, but from day one, he quickly established himself as, no, I'm not just Aubrey Miller's brother. I'm Ahmad effing Miller. And this season, even more so, being the leading rusher for JSU, one of the top running games in the country. Them, Delaware State were the two top rushing attacks, not just in HBCU football, but in all of FCS football. JSU, Delaware State, both were up there. And Ahmad Miller leading that for Jackson State with 12 to 15 carries on average per game to get over 1,000 yards, another 7.9 yards per carry type of game. Shout out to Ahmad Miller, man. He's just an awesome, awesome player. And JSU's running game is awesome. Their line just holds up really well for the run game. But they will need to be more explosive. I mean, I'm going to continue to harp on them, but I'm going to have another video that'll preview their game against Prairie View and then preview the potential Celebration Bowl matchup. We'll do all types of stuff the week leading up to the Celebration Bowl, all types of stuff to get into that, because that's going to be big. That matchup against South Carolina State. South Carolina State got the win over Delaware State in the de facto MEAC championship game that took place over in Dover. I'm going to have a separate video on that. But congratulations to Coach T.C. Taylor. I want to take a few seconds out to talk about Coach T.C. Taylor. You know, we know T.C. Taylor, it was weird how it went down when the transition from Deion Sanders to TC. You know, obviously Deion made the video that said he vouched for TC to get the head coaching job. But then Ed Reed came out and said Deion recommended him to get the head coaching job at Jackson State. And Ed Reed decided to turn it down. And we know what's happened from there. But all TC has done since he's taken over at Jackson State is put his head down and get to work. All TC, and I want to give props to Coach O too as well, because he's been a part of this transition and he's been a part of this growth and he's been a part of this freaking winning. Let's just call it what it is. It's winning. Like all that matters is that Jackson State continues to win. Last year, Celebration Bowl champs. You know, SWAC East Champs hosted the SWAC Championship game, won that game that they hosted, went down to Celebration Bowl in Atlanta, and won the championship game, the first one in program history. And all they've done since that game is go 9-2, once again, win the SWAC East title, and will once again host the SWAC Championship game in Jackson for an opportunity to defend their title in Atlanta at the Celebration Bowl. That's all TC has done. So we're talking about in 3 full seasons as the head coach of Jackson State. Year 1 was a wash. They only won 7 games, and he learned from those mistakes his first year as a head coach. And since then, 2 consecutive SWAC titles, 2 consecutive SWAC championship games being hosted in Jackson, Mississippi, and 2 opportunities to go back-to-back in the SWAC championship game, and 2 opportunities to potentially go back to Atlanta to play in the Celebration Bowl. What more can you ask for? You have, and this is from taking over. This is taking over a program after Deion Sanders. It didn't go in the gutter. It dropped minimally to 7 wins in TC's first year, and then went to new heights because Deion never won a Celebration Bowl. TC won that last year. TC has an opportunity to win another SWAC championship. Deion won 2. TC has an opportunity to match that. Excuse me. TC has an opportunity December 6th to match that. Match the exact amount of SWAC championships that Deion won. Now, he's got a tough task. Tremaine Jackson and Prairie View, that's no small feat. I'm not going to act like that's going to be easy. But TC has that opportunity to match that. And TC has an opportunity to then, once again, if he's able to win that game, win another Celebration Bowl to bring only the second one to Jackson State in their program history. Oh, yeah, by the way, he did win that first one. He's the first person to bring one, and he could potentially bring a second one if he handles his business against Prairie View, of course. So I want to just give kudos and props to TC freaking Taylor, doing it his way, doing it with a bunch of Mississippi boys. There's a bunch of SIP boys on this team. So a bunch of them on last year's team. There's a bunch of them on this year's team that is helping them do the dang on thing to win another SWAC East title, to put themselves in position to win another SWAC championship, and to play in another Celebration Bowl. So shout out to Coach TC Taylor, a Mississippi native himself, bringing a ton of Mississippi flavor to Jackson State, and that allows him to be successful year in and year out. And they have a formula. And shout out to the KC 1400 Collective, because that is part of the formula. Embracing your fan base, embracing your collective, allowing yourself to do those things, which then will allow you to bring in elite talent, which then will allow you to retain elite talent, like a Nate Rember, who made plays for you on Saturday. Oh, yeah, Nate, remember, he was going to hit the portal and go FBS. And the collective and TC not forced him, but convinced him to stay. And now he's playing for a SWAC championship. Oh, yeah, these other players on your team, Travis Terrell, Nate Rember, whoever, name your player, have an opportunity to leave and go play elsewhere. And instead, the collective and TC and the coaching staff and Coach O convinced them, talked them into, incentivized them to stay at Jackson State. And now they have another chance to win another title. What more can you ask for? What more can you ask for? So shout out to Jackson State. SWAC East Champs playing for another SWAC title this week, or December 6th in Jackson, Mississippi. You never know who might show up to that game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, my name is JeffLightsYJr. Thank you guys for tuning in to JeffLightsYJr Sports. JLightsy7 is my name on X, aka Twitter. Please hit that follow button, like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.